Grace's thrift store dress couldn't hide the port catheter beneath her collarbone. She stood in the back of the cathedral, watching her sister Hope float down the aisle in hand-stitched lace. The same Grace that had carried Hope through med school now carried her toward her neurosurgeon fiancé, while Grace fought to stay upright, her bones aching with familiar pain. The wedding photographer kept trying to herd her into family photos. Grace touched the raised port under her skin and shook her head. She didn't belong in those perfect pictures, with her sallow skin and thinning hair. She'd only come because their father had begged her from his own hospital bed. His voice, weak from stage 4 lung cancer, still echoed, "Please, Gracie, for me." Hope's vows rang through the cathedral, her voice steady and sure. "I promise to dedicate my life to healing others." Grace remembered a different promise, whispered in their childhood bedroom. "When I'm a doctor, I'll make you better first." But that was before Yale, before Hope's revolutionary cancer research, before Grace found the first lump, and their father chose to spend their mother's life insurance on Hope's medical school instead of Grace's treatment. The ancient metal in Grace's pocket burned cold against her leg. Their father had pressed it into her palm that morning, his physician's hands trembling. A family heirloom, he'd said, passed down through generations. The inscription was worn nearly smooth: Sanctus Egretus, the Holy Sufferer. "Some people are meant to heal," he'd whispered, eyes full of tears. "Others to be healed." Then softer, "Watch over her like you always have." Grace had nodded, not telling him she'd already taken the night shift janitor position at Hope's hospital. She needed to be closer to understand why Hope thrived while she withered. The metal grew colder with each thought. She slipped out before the reception, driving straight to her shift at St. Augustine's Hospital. The fluorescent lights made her skin look green as she pushed her cleaning cart past Hope's office. The brass nameplate gleamed, Dr. Hope, Oncological Research. The metal pulsed against Grace's chest where she'd hung it. Standing in front of Hope's door, she allowed herself to wish, just once, that their places were reversed. A sharp pain shot through her body, and she grabbed the wall to stay upright. When she looked at her hand, a new dark spot had formed beneath her skin, like a drop of ink bleeding through paper. In the following weeks, Grace watched through Hope's office window as patient after patient emerged cancer-free, defying all odds. Each miracle cure coincided with a new tumor blossoming under Grace's skin. She found hospital records in the archive room, hidden behind newer files, pairs of siblings throughout the hospital's history, one rising to medical prominence while the other wasted away. The night of Hope's award ceremony for pioneering cancer research, Grace's body was a constellation of tumors. She waited in Hope's office, the metal burning against her chest. Her sister's acceptance speech still played on the office TV, and "I dedicate this breakthrough to my sister, my inspiration." When Hope entered, still wearing her ceremony gown, she didn't seem surprised to see Grace. "You found out," she said simply. "How long have you known?" Grace's voice was barely a whisper. Hope touched her own chest, exactly where Grace's port catheter lay. "Since the first time, Dad taught me. It's a gift, Grace. Your suffering saves so many." "Did you ever mean to cure me?" Hope smiled, and for the first time, Grace saw no sadness in it. "Some people are meant to heal," she echoed their father's words. "You're saving lives, Grace, through me. Isn't that beautiful?" Grace clutched the metal, feeling her tumors pulse in time with her sister's words. She thought of all the years spent watching Hope shine, of childhood dreams sacrificed, of their father's last breath spent praising Hope's latest medical breakthrough. The metal grew hot in her palm. "I could have been beautiful," Grace whispered. The cancer surged through her body, feeding not just on her flesh now, but on every dark thought, every moment of bitterness, every denied dream. "I could have been everything you are." Hope reached for her, perfect hands extended in a healer's gesture. "Let me help you, Grace. One last time. Let me make your death mean something." Grace laughed, a wet sound like tumors bursting. "My death already means something, sister. It means you failed." She collapsed then, her body finally surrendering to the weight of the cancer. As her vision darkened, she saw Hope reaching for her phone, already composing her next triumphant speech about loss and inspiration. Even dying, Grace envied her sister's ability to turn tragedy into success. The metal slipped from her fingers, landing between them like a verdict. In her last moment, Grace felt the cancer throughout her body, the poison that had always lived in her blood. She died thinking of Hope's perfect life, perfect career, perfect future, and her last breath was spent not on acceptance or forgiveness, but on a final, consuming wish that it had all been hers. Above them, the fluorescent lights flickered on, harsh and bright, illuminating Hope's tears and Grace's smile, bitter and victorious to the end. Finally, at peace with her role as the sister who gave everything, consumed by the very envy that had kept her alive long enough to witness her sister's final triumph. They found Grace's body the next morning. The metal was gone, but they discovered strange masses growing in the hospital gardens. Black roses, their petals twisted like tumors, feeding on nothing but shadow and spite. Hope went on to revolutionize cancer treatment. In every speech, she mentioned her beloved sister, who gave everything to medical science. She wore the metal every day, never noticing how it grew warmer with each cure, waiting for the next pair of sisters, the next sacrifice, the next feast of envy.